Welcome to Stop Guessing, the show where we get into real conversations that founders and business owners need to have about marketing, visibility, and building something that actually lasts. I'm Brent Gary, fractional CMO and founder of Gary Consulting. This is episode 1, and I couldn't think of a better person than to kick this off with. My guest today is Kevin Deveci, the founder of the American Business Podcast, which has grown to over 170,000 YouTube subscribers in the second year. He's also founded the AVCCI, which is America's first virtual chamber of commerce, and CABA. It's a national business networking alliance. Kevin is a speaker, an author, and someone who has built one of the most recognizable independent business media brands in the country. Kevin, welcome to Stop Guessing.
Brent, thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction.
Awesome. Now, I like to, when I talk, I like to do a little backstory. And we met last year at the DMFS, which is the Digital Marketing for Financial Services Conference. And, I'm a fractional CMO, Solution CTC. We had a booth and you came up, introduced yourself, and we just had like a really good conversation. So Kevin, let's tell us a little bit about, the beginning of ABP and, what was the original idea? Because that's an amazing story.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And just like you mentioned, last year we met. It was just by chance really in that organization. So that was great that we met. Well, just for me to just introduce myself, I'm Kevin Deveci. I'm the founder and host of the American Business Podcast. The podcast, I started last year in February. And before I started, I made about 2 years of research, of observation, watching, listen other podcasts. I enjoy podcasts in general. I find them to be a great resource for learning from other professionals, learning updates, and you learn it in your own pace. You watch in your own pace. That's always something that I've been really enjoying. And especially I like the video podcasts that you can watch, listen, and learn during these interactions. And well, when I started the American Business Podcast, the goal was to create a resource for professionals, educational, informative, non-political environment that other professionals can come, share their professional wisdom and insights, and let the business community learn from them. That has been and from day one, it has never been changed. I mean, we always try to create this educational environment. It is because learning is a process. We are all learning something new every single day. And especially in business, learning costs. It costs time, it costs effort, it costs energy, and most of the time it costs money. So learning from others is always great advantage to it. You actually use your resources in a more effective way.
Oh, that's awesome. And one of the things I love about your podcast is that it is very inclusive. I mean, you have all kinds of people on there. You're not what's the word? It's not that any and everyone could just hop on, and you're intentional who you invite, but it's a huge cross section. And how many people have you interviewed already?
Yes, we just released our 174th episode. Yes, and more to come.
And so I guess now that you've crossed 170,000 subscribers, right? At what point did you stop feeling like you were just figuring it out and that you had a real system in place?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. So that was actually a month later. I was watching the YouTube. YouTube has a management section in the back end, right? So you can see all the statistics and what is going on in terms of your number of your subscribers and views. So I got obsessed with that ticker. There is a ticker that you can see how many new subscribers that you are getting or losing, like real time.
Right.
And I noticed that it was actually increasing pretty quickly when I was watching. Like we keep getting like new subscribers pretty much like every single minute. I was just stunned with that speed of growth. And at that moment, I understood that I was on the right track in terms of creating the right content, educational, informative, non-political, and to create this informative environment for business professionals. So it was a month later, I figured out that I was on the right track. And that was a game changer for me in terms of how I am doing with my team, in terms of building the podcast and the content. So it's quite a story.
So there's one thing that I found very unique about ABP, which is it's YouTube first, right?
Correct.
So a lot of people who are doing a podcast would typically do the Spotify route, right? And your podcast, and I think when I first came across it, it was actually on LinkedIn as shorts. Then I saw
Yes.
the channel. So was that intentional, going YouTube versus like, let's say Spotify?
Yes, absolutely. So by heart, I'm a marketer, first of all. So direct marketing is in my DNA. So whenever I do something in business, when I start a business, when I am running a business, I always look for angles, the positioning. So what is in the marketplace, what is available, and what is missing that really market is in customers, clients need. So during my research before I started, what I noticed was there was no business podcast doing what I'm doing or what I will be doing as a podcast in terms of educational, informative, non-political. They were either way too niche in terms of the content and
Okay.
or somehow somewhere conversation starts business and then they turn it into a political conversation. And it was really not what I was trying to be. And so I also noticed that when we look at the history of the podcasting started as an audio. Audio podcast is the early stage of the podcast. That's why, just like, just to support your point, most of the podcasts, when they started as an audio.
Yep.
And I found the audio podcast market to be very crowded. I knew no one was doing what I will be doing, but I will just like to have a more modern environment in terms of where I can push my content and deliver the message in terms of being informative and educational. So I found that in YouTube and other video based podcast channels, there was no podcast in terms of what I will be offering. And I believe in the power of video itself. So you can really watch, you can listen, you can see the face expressions. You can really enjoy it. I enjoy it myself as well when I watch YouTube. So A, the market was more available in terms of being able to offer more educational content. B, I believe that the video powered content is very effective when you are delivering the message. So it was
So,
intentional.
okay, no,
I
definitely.
mean, by no means, I definitely respect the audio-based podcast channels and as well as the channel itself overall. I exist in Spotify. I mean, with the ABP, we definitely there. However, just to your point, we are video first.
Okay. And so I know you do a lot of shorts because that's typically how I consume a lot of content.
Yes.
So is I know that was also intentional, but do you have like a breakdown of like maybe how the proportion of people who are watching shorts to like the long form, do they compete or
So
they complement each other?
yes. So in a way, it's a good point. So in recent years, shorts became really popular, more popular than the long forms, and it is because the consumption of video really increased. I mean, people consume videos very quickly just by swiping. It's just like if you don't really pay attention, you can go for hours just like swiping, right? And then going from one video to another. So in our case, the business is a category, the podcast category that we are in. That's not necessarily entertainment, right? So there is no singing, no dancing, no acting, no performing. This is like core knowledge of business,
Right.
like just delivering that informative content. And regardless, people still like it though. When we tested it first, the shorts from the long form, we noticed the increase of views and the interest coming from the market. So each short video was about 30 seconds. So on average, our episodes are around 35, 40 minutes, I must say. So we found that actually short forms are actually complementing the long form videos. So you see the short form, it gets your attention, gets your interest, the desire as well, and then you take action as to go to the long form and then go into our channel and spend more time. So
Okay.
absolutely complementary in our line of podcasts as a business podcast. In general, though, when we look at the podcast environment in general, there is a huge consumption of shorts, and
Okay.
that's a fact.
So, I talk a lot about visibility in my marketing because, the founders I'm dealing with have tremendous expertise, but what they don't have is authority, right? You have demonstrated tremendous authority with the American Business Podcast and now with the Chamber of Commerce. And that's because, you've just been putting yourself out there. So, what is a mistake, most common mistake that you see founders making in regards to creating authority?
Yes, absolutely. So it actually comes to thought leadership to create the authority. I need to be delivering a message that people will listen, will trust, and will follow. That doesn't happen over time. So we need to put effort and time. It's just like meeting someone else, right? When we first time we meet someone else, it's just the beginning. You shake the hand, and then you just have the initial introductory conversation, and that's the beginning,
Right.
right? Even though you just met with the person, you don't know him, her yet. It's just the beginning. And then you go into different business circles and you bump into each other, you see each other, and then you have another conversation, and someone else talk about the person that you just met, and it just basically snowballs. You just start building that trust by different environment, by different business circles. certain things really takes time, and you cannot make it up to it. I mean, you just need to go through it, right? And
Okay.
building that trust, building that authority as a thought leader takes time. So earlier you start is better. So in that sense, there are different venues, different channels that can be used by business professionals. And by saying that, I like to also emphasize the importance of podcasting for business owners. We are in great times to utilize technology, utilize AI, and they are affordable right now. It's great for small and mid-sized businesses, which are really backbones of U.S. economy. So for business owners, they can definitely utilize podcasting as a thought leadership way of using it and sharing their content. So why would they do business with you? You don't have to be so direct. Hey, you should do business with me because I'm doing such and such. Anything that they are experts of. If I'm an expert of automotives, maybe I can start a channel that I like to talk about automotives, not in a sales way, in an informative way. It shows my true value as a professional, that I know my craft, I know what I'm talking about. Not only I know what I'm talking about, I also invite other professionals to create, to enrich this environment, to share more content in an informative way. So this is a new way of marketing. The old way of marketing, which is really hardcore marketing, going, hey, this is my product, this is what it does. Would you like it? But it's too direct, and it's. I mean, in this age nowadays, the consumers and customers are way too experienced. I mean, on average, an American sees about 150 different advertising messages when she goes out, right? So we are very experienced. We know when we hear something, we know which one is really true sale, which one is really true value.
Right. We know what we're being sold to.
Exactly. So in this modern age, being a thought leader is an important asset for any business owner. And
Well, yeah.
yep.
Sorry. No, go.
Yeah, and utilizing podcasts is a great idea to be a thought leader and to build that authority as a business leader.
I was going to ask you, so you don't think that having a podcast would be, I guess the market is too oversaturated with podcasts. That's still a viable marketing technique.
Yes, I mean, so right now, only thing that's saturated right now in media is TV. TV is dying. The average viewer of TV the age is nowadays around 70s, 80s, over. TV is over. That's the only medium is really like having a slow death in a way,
Right.
is dying. So the podcasts are here to stay. I mean, this is like the reason we see a lot of different channels is because we see the quantity, but we don't always see the quality in each podcast, right? So there are some podcast channels that you see that they only have 10,000 followers. There's a reason behind it, right? Sometimes you see that they only created less than 100 videos, hence that reflected on their viewers and as well as their subscribers. So just because there is a number of podcasts, that doesn't mean they're all really delivering the message that they intend to deliver, right? So it's all about performance. It's all about hard work. I mean, when it comes to videos and creating video-based podcasts, and as well as the audio-based podcasts in general, the content is very important. Position is very important. It needs to be disciplined, consistent. If it's gonna be weekly, monthly, but it needs to be delivered, right? So I don't see the podcast market to be really saturated, and I believe it's a great opportunity for business owners to start from somewhere. I call it the term that I developed. I believe I developed it. I never heard them anywhere else. I call it podcast-driven marketing. And
Podcast.
yes, so I think I created it as a term. I never heard of it, but
Hey, you know what? Trademark it.
yeah. So yes, so yes, so it's really fun stuff in a way that businesses can start their podcast in an informative way. So you can always have a YouTube channel for your business to talk about your business day and night. That is fine. You can have that channel. You should have it for business.
Right.
And also the thought leadership part also has to be there.
Okay. Actually, I do want to call out though that you do help business owners with their podcasting journey, and that's a supplement, something that you spun up because of the success with American Business Podcast. Can you talk
Yes.
about that?
Yes, absolutely. So it's called podcasting, business podcasting as a service, PaaS. So we help business owners start their podcast, or if they already started, link it to our podcast, the American Business Podcast, and they can have instant visibility in front of thousands of the American Business Podcast viewers and listeners. So that service consists of coaching, helping businesses position their podcasts in an effective manner. We also have about the content and also the delivery in terms of taking their insights, professional insights as business leaders, right in front of the American Business Podcast viewers and listeners. That's the unique offering that we have.
Because I remember we had a conversation separate about this where I think the difference what you're doing is that you're giving a coaching, but you're also giving access to your audience. So it's like a co-production with American Business Podcast. And I think that's helps to solve a discoverability problem a lot of podcasts have where you launch it and then crickets,
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. I mean, the growth that we have in the American business podcast as a business podcast in business category is rare. I mean, passing 100,000 YouTube subscribers in 6 months is very rare in business category. Not I'm not
Especially
talking
in the
about
business, right? You're not right.
yes. It's not
Right.
entertainment. It's not dancing, singing,
Exactly.
performing. It's not that much fun, right? It's serious stuff. We're talking about knowledge,
Well, it's
information.
fun to
So
me, but I get
yes, well, so this is serious stuff. I mean, you need to really focus on it, and then it takes all the brain power and then the focus that you need to learn from other professionals. So, yes, so absolutely. So, keeping this in mind in terms of business podcast channels are typically grows really fast, really slow, and having this fast growth, we like to share this growth with business community.
and that's actually I think a good segue into a topic that I want to touch base on, which is the AVCCI. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for this opportunity. In United States, there are more than 30 million businesses, and most of them are small and mid-sized businesses. When we started the American Business Podcast, we want to be the voice of American business, regardless of their size. And when we talk about American business, we have to be addressing small and mid-sized businesses because that's the majority and that's the backbone of US economy. I find them to be they are not getting the attention that they are supposed to get in media. And that really bothers me, really, because they really work hard. They create a lot of value as small business owners. They pay their taxes. They create also employments. Keeping this in mind, the American Business Podcast come a long way with right now more than 170,000 YouTube subscribers in 14, 15 months is great growth, and there is more to come. We're gonna pass 200,000 YouTube subscribers also within this year. This will also reflect our views. So with this growth, we like to take it to the next level, meaning we are promoting, supporting, and uplifting American businesses, nonprofits, manufacturers, and the business community. Now we are starting America's virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This is the connection portion of our mission. With the American Business Podcast, we promote, support, and uplift. In addition, with the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce, AVCCI, we connect American businesses. And this connection is nationwide. I'm quite a networker. I'm part of different organizations and associations. Most of them are local and regional, which is perfect for these connections. When you like to find national connections in other parts of the country, it is challenging.
It
So
is,
we
right.
like to address these. And there are other groups who are doing online networking events, which I understand, I respect that, I like them, I'm part of some of them. With the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce, there is truly integrated and powered by the American Business Podcast. There is no other virtual business group that is powered by a successful podcast. That is our unique positioning. America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce, AVCCI, is powered by the American Business Podcast, provides connection, networking opportunities for businesses. And because the American Business Podcast is fully integrated, it pushes the content and the connections and insights about American businesses to the national and international viewers and listeners. This publicity, non-stop publicity, offers great visibility to businesses. And we are very excited about this.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's the thing I love about what you're doing is that you're building on a strong foundation, right?
Mhm.
So you said you have a background in direct marketing,
Yes.
and then but it took you spent 2 years preparing for the American Business Podcast.
Yes.
And that gave you, like a really strong momentum, like you said, within the first month. And you're not just sticking with the podcast, you're using that to do the business podcasting as a service. And now you're building community.
Yes.
And so, like I said, and I believe strongly in telling people about systems, tying things together, and not trying to do everything at once. So, with that said, I was wondering, how many platforms are you on in terms of like your marketing? Like, what does your marketing stack look like?
Yes, you are referring to marketing mix, am I correct?
Yeah, marketing. Mhm.
Yes, this is great. So when we are promoting and operating the American Business Podcast, it's a mix. So we use heavily social media, and also we use email marketing. We also use through networking. We also use in-person networking as a marketing channel as well. And for press releases and putting the word out, we also use traditional media as well for pushing the press releases, for example. In general, when we look at it, it is a mix of social media, email, in-person marketing, in-person conversations. And we also have a lot of referrals coming in.
And to that point, because I know there's going to be some skeptical people like, oh, you're doing a podcast and does it make you money and what have you?
Mhm.
You do have brands, you do have sponsorships because I've been on the show a couple of times and you do
Yes.
have brand deals.
Correct. Business itself depends on podcast itself depends on how you run it. So when we started it, as I mentioned, when we started. I was thinking about it to be a resource, informative, educational resource for business professionals. But with the growth, of course, then it turned out to be a business. Now, the American Business Podcast is a business itself. It's a media business. It's a media channel. It's a powerful media channel in business category. And yes, we do have sponsors, supporters, and that really helps us a lot in terms of a podcast. So podcasting is really a big investment. You need to create these from scratch. It takes a lot of software technology. My full-time business is business software. So I'm very technologically savvy. However, to perform a podcast related activities for production, you need to use different podcast software systems, and they really cost money. And there are limitations in terms of when you are using them. All of a sudden, you're out of credit, so you need to get more credit, more of these,
Yeah.
more of that. So all I'm saying is, not only effort and time and energy, you need to also use these tools to perform podcasting. So it
But
really costs money. So
right.
sponsors and supporters, they really help us.
Okay. I think also from a thought leadership standpoint, that helps your main business. Like you talk about
Yes.
your business because,
Absolutely, absolutely. So my actual full-time business is business software. I'm part of an organization, and CRM systems, accounting software systems, AI-powered business process automation is my expertise, my company's expertise, and that's actually what pays the bill in general for me and the organization. And being in technology, of course, that helped me meet with and work with many different American businesses in different capacities, different industries, and that's how I learned. Actually, American businesses can utilize podcasts as well as technology more than before. So when I entered technology about 10 years ago, it was a little different. So to get a modern software system, it was actually way too expensive for a small American business. So we had to go to, as technology providers and creators, we had to go to mid-market, upper mid-market to offer, because they could really enjoy the benefits of the technology and they could afford it really. So things started to change around COVID time. So the
okay.
market changed, the supply and demand changed. And now in this very moment we are in, American small businesses, they have a great opportunity right in front of them. That is AI and technology. So now for a company to use an AI technology, they don't have to be a Fortune 500 company. They don't have to be a bank. Now it's available, accessible, and practical for any type of American small business. And this is really exciting. And we also talk about technology and business technology in general in the American Business Podcast as well, and communicate this message to American businesses. And they are in search. I mean, when I talk to American businesses, I see they try to understand how can we utilize AI? How can I use it in my business? They are in search, they try to understand it and try to find a way to utilize it. It's because whoever utilizes it well will have
Yeah.
a great strategic advantage in its own market. And that's a fact.
Well, once again, I'm always struck by how much you care about American business, small businesses, because I feel like small business is such a huge market and it's a diverse market. So a lot of companies want to go to like the mid market to enterprise, and you have experience with enterprise, but
Correct.
same time, you've really made it I think part of your mission to focus on the small businesses and to use technology, AI, consulting, PR and software, but those businesses could actually start growing and move up market.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And just to support your point, small businesses is actually a big business in
They-
terms of size, in terms of
In
contribution.
aggregate.
Yes, yes. And the contribution that they do, they make to the American economy is really exciting and exemplary. And we need to talk about it more. We need to support it. We need to uplift it. And the more that I have episodes in the American Business Podcast, the more that I understand the importance of the American small business owners and entrepreneurs. This
Okay.
is really our true differentiator in the marketplace globally, not only in US, globally. That's what
No,
makes America different. This innovation, this entrepreneurship, this practicality to find solutions to problems is one of a kind. And that is why United States is really competitive in the marketplace. So
well, there
that's
you
the
go. I
exciting
mean,
part.
so I guess kind of winding down. What is, I guess, the main thing you're building in the next year now that
Yes,
you have traction with AVP?
absolutely. So my vision is to have the American business platform. That's my vision. American Business Platform consists of two parts. One is the media, the American Business Podcast, and the other part is the AVCCI, America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And this is the American Business Platform. You get the news, you get the updates, you learn from others, That's the American Business Podcast. And you meet with other business professionals, you connect, and you create the true business opportunity. That is America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry, AVCCI. This is the American Business Platform that we have the vision of, and that's that we are going step by step.
And when is AVCCI launching?
Well, AVCCI actually started to onboard founding members. So right now we are filling the spots for our committees, for our regional chapters, and in the first half of May, we're going to open it and make it available to the general business community. And I'm very excited for this. This is a great opportunity. I like it to be creating true value to businesses, American businesses. And our phase 2 will be the international arm of this activity. So we like to help American businesses connect international businesses as well, and the vice versa, international businesses to connect American businesses. So in that sense, being virtual first is actually removing all the boundaries and offers a lot of flexibilities. I mean, if in previous years, right after COVID, we all learn how to use technology for communications. So now being virtual is an advantage, and we like to use it all the way in the benefit of American businesses.
There you go. Thank you. Any parting words to founders who are, that period in your business where they've got some traction and they're scaling? Like, what would you tell them?
Okay. Well, I will say that congratulations with your success and growth. I know you come a long way and you are the driving force in this growth, but you cannot do everything yourself. You need people. And these people will come to you through networking and building relationships and utilizing technology. So surround yourself with people that will work with you, that will support you in different capacities. Be a member of the America's Virtual Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So connect with other business professionals and other potential partners that will help you continue boosting your growth. And make sure that you watch the American Business Podcast to keep learning from other business professionals.
There you go, folks. So I just want to thank Kevin Deveci from the American Business Podcast for joining us and just dropping knowledge. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Kevin. And
Pleasure is all mine.
Conversation after this.
Thank you. And congratulations with your podcast. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.